This is part A of the Kudila television channel being broadcast on the internet, timed at 07:30 GMT on Thursday, the 6th of June 2024. The main Fleet Street papers are most heavily loaded with the alleged shedding of tears by the royals, leading emotional D-Day tributes. It is absolutely false. D-Day or any similar adventure must be preceded by the statement that is massacre, intentional massacres of people that are carried out, essentially carried out by any warmongers. Nazi Germany was, of course, most notoriously engaged in the massacres of innocent people, as is the Zionist state of Israel is involved in the massacre of innocent people, Palestine. Now, 80 years, 80 years, one massacre, genocide, those who are alleged to be shedding tears have no clue as to how to stop the mass murders of innocent people or murders of innocent people. Not far away in the news, so-called, is a reference to Grenfell. The massacres of the victims of the Grenfell Tower in June 2017. Massacres of the people of Grenfell Tower was avoidable, allowed to happen, and the key decision makers in the local council, Kensington and Chelsea, as well as the central government department, the key decision makers in the so-called emergency services allowed to have the resources, the equipments to prevent and to put out mass murdering fires, neglected their duties, thus making sure that the maximum number of the residents and people in that building in June 2017 were massacred. As I have said on thousands of occasions since June 2017, the building, the Grenfell Tower, was physically ideally situated, physically ideally accessible for any number of military aircraft, mainly helicopters, carrying water, that could have been carried and poured on the building, preventing most of the deaths. But that wasn't happening. That didn't happen because the decision makers, whoever were in charge of the decisions, wanted the victims, the ordinary people, the residents of the Grenfell Tower, to be massacred, not saved. None of the gestures of financial payments to anyone involved with the Grenfell Tower can begin to reflect the grievous loss. That is symptomatic, representative, typical of the negligence of state at local levels, regional levels, and UK central levels. Negligence shown to most ordinary people. That withdrawal of the emergency helicopter borne water, that withdrawal would not have happened if the people in the building Grenfell Tower were describable as members of the royal family, members of parliament, members of the House of Peers, etc., etc. And extrapolating, that is applying the principles to the behavior day to day of the local councils across England, the behavior of the government departments involved in so-called emergency services, it is quite clear that most people who are kept in deprivation, kept in denial, kept in disadvantage, kept denied and deprived of the basic essential services are ordinary people in the United Kingdom. Those who are not ordinary, those who are related to the ruling establishment, regardless of what party political color they may belong to, they may be affiliated to, they are not deprived. In the last week, the Daily Mail has been running a false series saying that it has been allowed access or it has established access to the files, the London Metropolitan Police files about the disappearance of the so-called aristocrat Lucan. This is false because regardless of what the Daily Mail claims, if the truth is being told for the first time based on those files, then the question is that the investigation into Lucan was sabotaged, aborted, diverted from on purpose. in order to let him carry on, let him get away. And the murder of Sandra River remains, therefore, a murder to which all the agencies that should have uncovered the truth and put to trial the murderer Lucan have become complicit over 50 years plus since Lucan murdered Sandra River. So that's the balance, the imbalance, unbalanced, unfit for purpose society. There is no care, despite the fact that the CARE Act 2014 is supposed to have been passed in order to deliver services, deliver care, based on the needs and preferences of the person being cared. That is to say, person-centered care. There is no person-centered care. There is nothing but contempt for the duty of care, contempt by the local councils, contempt by the local council employees, contempt by the local council agents, contempt by the local council contractors. And there is no forum. There is no forum to audit, to hold to account those charged with delivering care based on person centrality. Now that includes numerically and in the demography all the local councils and their allied so-called partner agencies. The person being supposedly provided the care is the last source of guidance, information, which is the opposite of what it should be. The person being cared for, or the person being provided the service called care or caring service, should be the first, the most important. Is the local council social services, the local general practices, GPs, and other parts of the National Health Service. They are not operated in accordance with the clear requirements of the 2014 CARE Act. So all the social problems, all the lack of housing, proper housing, that fester right across society are caused intentionally, deliberately by so-called service providers in the council, on behalf of the council, in partnership with the local councils, neglecting and showing contempt for the requirements of the CARE Act 2014. This is 07:32 hours GMT. This video has been 15 minutes long. On Thursday, the 6th of June 2024, all these issues would be updated, followed up,